Good morning, everyone, and good evening for those tuning in from the other side of the world. And welcome to another Dhamma talk with Bhante Sumitta. So Bhante Sumitta is our venerable guest here at the monastery who's been giving a series of teachings on the anupubbiṁ kathaṁ, so the Buddha's gradual teaching. So one of the frameworks that the Buddha gave for an overview of Buddhist practice. So welcome to everyone who's joining in so far this morning. So welcome to Aaron, Kumu, Gita, Nancy, Jayanta, Jens, Poonam, and Elaine, and Michael. Welcome also to everybody else who's watching. Feel free to check in and say hello if you would like. So as usual, Bhante Sumitta will give a Dhamma talk and then be open to answering questions at the end. So you're welcome to type in questions at any time, and I'll read them out for him to answer at the end. So for now, I'll go ahead and pass things over to Bhante Sumitta for this morning's Dhamma talk. So please go ahead.
Samantha Cakkavalesu Atra Gaccantu Devata Saddhammang Munirajasa Sunantu Sagga Mokkadang Dhamma Savana Kalo Ayang Bhadanta Dhamma Savana Kalo Ayang Bhadanta Dhamma Savana Kalo Ayang Bhadanta Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa Aranye viharantanang santanang brahmacharinang Eka bhattang bhunjamananang kena vanno pasidati ti Atitang nanusochanti nappajappanti nagatang Paccupannena yapinti tena vanno pasidati Anagatappajapaya atitasanusocana etena bala susanti nalova harito lutoti My utmost respect to the perfectly enlightened Samma Sambuddha and my utmost respect to the noble doctrine of the Buddha and my utmost respect to the noble Mahasangha, the disciples of the Buddha. Hello Dhamma friends, good morning and good evening to all of you, and welcome to the Dhamma talk series at the Empty Cloud Buddhist Monastery in New Jersey. Can you get some tissue box? Okay. So, thank you. This morning here, and we have been practicing so far and learning so many different Dhamma teachings, and the Dhamma talk leading today was starting from Dana kathaṁ, Sila kathaṁ, Sagga kathaṁ, Kāmānaṁ ādīnavaṁ, and this is the way to go, the way to practice after that. So you know about the Dana, you know about the Sila, and then you also know about the Sagga, the heavenly world, and then we also discuss about the Adinavas of Kama. And so after realizing this, now it is time for us to decide and how to practice. When the Prince Siddhartha was 29, he already decided to renounce the world. And one day he was enjoying his life. He had 3 beautiful palaces built by his father, Ramya, Suramya, Subha. So in different seasons, winter, fall, spring, he could stay in so many wonderful palaces with beautiful people around, and all the dancings and so many things to enjoy with. And then he one day wanted to go to the royal park, and on the way he saw an old man, and then he was asking his charioteer Channa, why is this man so different? And then Channa said, this man is old. And then he asked, does everyone become old? Yes, of course, everyone becomes old. You will become old, I will become old, and everyone else will become old. And that is very common to everyone. And then he was very upset. He went back home, and the following day he came and he saw a sick man, somebody who was sick. And then he also learned about people getting sick. Everyone is subject to sick. No matter how much we try, we still can get sick. And so it is also common to every sentient being. And then he he was pretty upset, went back home, and the following day he came. He saw many people were crying, wailing, weeping, and a corpse, a dead body, was surrounded by a bunch of people. And he asked, what is this, and why are these people crying? And then he learned from his charioteer. This charioteer is wonderful. He was his first teacher, in fact. And he was teaching him. And yeah, this is common. Death is common to everyone. We cannot escape the death, no matter how hard we try. So he again was upset. He went back home and came again. And then he saw an ascetic, a monk, a sage, a saint who was practicing. And then he was asking, who was this? Why is he so different? He is so serene and so calm and peaceful. And then he said, Channa said, this man is called a monk, and he is searching for peace, inner peace. Oh, this is so wonderful. I should also try that. I think to find the answer to all the questions that I had during the last few days, this should be the way. And then he decided to leave home, leave everything behind, because he wanted to find truth. It is really kind of weird if somebody thinks like, everyone is sick, everyone will die, everyone gets old, so why do you have to leave everything? And that's why he is so different. And if he didn't leave that day, we wouldn't have talked about the Buddha, right? 2500 years ago, one man left his wife and left his child, Everyone sometimes even accusing Prince Siddhartha for leaving his wife and child. Why did he do that? He left them only to come back to rescue all of them. His wife, his child, his father, everyone in the family was rescued along with so many millions of people. Even today, we are practicing, we think of the Buddha, we feel so serene and so calm and so peaceful. And that is exactly why he was so important to us. And so he went deep inside the jungle, and then he left all those comforts that he had, and then he lived a very, very simple life. So this is called renunciation, abhinikkamana. Renunciation is very much important to all of us. So in order to take that decision, you have to be very simple in your lifestyle. If you want to have so many possessions, then it's difficult to renounce. If you are very busy, it is also difficult to renounce. That is why you have to be simple in your lifestyle. So this is called Sallahuka Buddhi in Pali. In Karaniya Metta Sutta, it is said Sallahuka Buddhi. If you want to practice metta meditation, loving kindness, you have to be Sallahuka Buddhi. Sallahuka Buddhi means a very simple lifestyle. One day, in the jungle, one monk was meditating under a tree, and then a deva came. He saw this monk was, living a very simple lifestyle. He doesn't have many comforts, no air condition, no mosquito net, nothing. But he was living a very beautiful, his face and his overall look very comfortable and very serene and also very healthy monk. And then the devata was asking, Aranye viharantanang santanang brahmacharina eka bhattang bhunjamananang kena vanno pasidati. So the question was asked from the Buddha by this devata. He was asking, the monks live in that in the jungle, and the Blessed One himself really loves the jungle so much. And how does one become so happy and so healthy and so peaceful in the jungle, living in the wilderness? Aranye viharantanang santanang brahmacharinang, staying peaceful and remaining chaste. Your life is celibacy. You practice celibacy there. Brahmacharina. Eka bhattang bhunjamanana means you eat only one time, one meal a day, and still you vanno pasidati, kena vanno pasidati. Why are their faces so bright and serene? That's a good question, actually. And then the Buddha gives a beautiful answer to this question. This is in Samyutta Nikaya, Aranya Sutta. Atitang nanu sochanti nappajappanti nagatang paccupannena yapenti tena vanno pasidati. So atitang nanu sochanti, atitang na anusochanti. He does not worry, they do not worry about the past. Past is past. No matter how much you try, you can't pull that back. So they do not worry over the spilt milk, right? And do not repent over that. And do not worry about the past. Do not sorrow about the past. Nappa jappanti nagatang. Na agatang means not yet come. That is the future. So they do not also worry about the future. Do not long for the future. No daydreaming. It's again yet to come. You don't know whether you are going to get that or not. And atita, the past is also past. It's again like a dream. The future is also like a dream. right? You don't know whether you are going to realize or not. So what is the challenge that we all have is to be at the present moment, right here, right now. Pachupanena yapenti. So they survive on the present. They enjoy right here, right now. They enjoy the present moment. And this is why also it is important for all of us as practitioners to try to focus on the present moment. Forget about the past. Don't worry about the future. Just live at this very moment and then enjoy. That is why Tena Vanno Pasidati. That is why their faces are bright and serene. So for those people who are worried and restless, it is really important that we think of this and try to focus on the present moment. In meditation, this is a constant struggle. So when we close our eyes, we think of some meditation object, our mind goes back to the past, think of something that we were experiencing, whether it was good or bad, then you are lost in that thought. Or else you are working on your future project, something in the future, and then you are not able to focus at the present moment. So it's the challenge is to be able to focus at the present moment. What's happening right now, right here? What's happening to your thoughts? Just recognizing them and also working on those emotions and whatever you have, those defilements. And that would be the best thing, and that would be the real practice that we all have to do. Anagatappha jappaya atita sanu sochana etena bala susanti nalova harito lutoti. The Buddha says, from longing for the future, from sorrowing over the past, fools wither away like a green reed cut down. So it is the practice of the fools to worry about the past and to worry about the future, and that is not the practice of the wise. So the Buddha says, keep working on your present moment. That will give you so much happiness and serenity in your life. And then simplicity, I think that is something that I was thinking of talking today. And do you have the 8 precepts thing here?
I don't think so.
Over here?
Is it in there?
So when we observe precept, we also have very important practice. Like you become very simple, you become very humble, right? So you even remove your ornaments, you remove all the other day-to-day things that you do, and it's really very interesting when we practice the 8 precepts. Thank you. So when we practice 8 precepts, we actually add 3 more extra precepts, right? Vikala bhojana veramani sikkhapadam samadhyami. So I undertake to observe the precept to abstain from untimely food. And timely food is also very important. Fasting is important. So sometimes you need to give some respite to your tummy, take some break. And that way you feel more comfortable, your meditation practice becomes more comfortable, and your lifestyle becomes very simple, not heavy. It's not heavy when you take less food, like those monks living in 1 food a day. And so here in the 6th precept, we say Nachagita Vadita Visuka Dasana Dasana Mala Gandha Vilepana Dharana Mandana Vibhusanatthana Veramani So Nacha Gita means you avoid also dancing and singing, and Vadita is like playing instruments, and Visuka Dasana, they are the dramas and or the other things that you do those for entertainment. And then Mala Gandha Vilepana is that is also for beautification and adornment. You apply so many things, and then so you just avoid those things. I remember when I was lay person, small child, we used to still go to the temple every full moon day. In Sri Lanka, it's a public bank and mercantile holiday every full moon day. So people go to the temple to observe 5 precepts, 8 precepts. So our parents, our mothers and our sisters, they had to remove all the earrings and everything, and no necklace, nothing. Very simple, and also wear very simple white cloth, and that also is very symbolic. And you also sit on the floor, and sitting on the floor again is a very, very powerful practice. You know, you like to sit on maybe very hi-fi comfortable cushions or chairs or things like that, so you feel little bit more conceit. You know, you're arrogant, and you also want to show off your prestige, your position. When you all sit down, cut off all these things, everyone sit on the floor, bringing down your conceit, making yourself simple and humble. And one day I remember somebody was saying, when you sit on the floor, you will never fall. That makes a lot of sense, right? So it's really very important. You are all in the same level, same flow, and also your ego will be cut down very, very strongly, and also you become very simple. And you, when you wear white, you are also very careful. You know, when you have any speck of dust, you can see that very easily. So you have to be very careful. I know you're also very careful when you're wearing white, right? So it's really important, the practice of wearing white cloth. And actually in traditional Buddhist countries, it's a very common scene. So beautiful to see. The temples are full of hundreds of people, you know, wearing white clothes and walking along the Bodhi tree area and the stupa, the Agaba area, and everywhere they practice, and it's amazing. And it gives so much peace and happiness and serenity to all the other people as well. So this simple lifestyle can make us so much close to the Nibbana. And then Uchasayana Mahasayana Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami. I undertake the precept to abstain from lying on a high and or luxurious sleeping place. And this is how we practice 8 precepts. Plus you can also add one more precept. In fact, when you become observe the 10 precept, that is Jata Rupa Rajata Patighana Veramani Sikkhapadam Samadhiyami. You even abstain from yourself accepting any valuable things like gold or silver or money or something like that. That way your precept can become much more powerful, your practice becomes much more powerful. So simple lifestyle, in order to practice simple lifestyle, once in a while, so it is once a month, one full moon month is a good opportunity to get rid of all these things. Also avoiding eating at the improper time, what we call when the sun, it depends on the sun. So after noon time, right? You don't eat any solid food. This again is a very wonderful practice by those practitioners. I think in every religion they have fasting to a certain extent, among the Christian people, among the Islam people, among the Hindu people, and even among the Buddhist people. We have this thing because it helps us. And when you eat a lot, maybe for example in the night, it is difficult for you even to sleep. And so if you don't take dinner, it's easier for you to wake up in the morning. You feel hungry, so you wake up early morning too. And it makes a habit, you know, your tummy is like empty. It's easier for you to wake up. Plus it's easier for you to practice a little bit more in the morning too. So simple lifestyle can always be very, very helpful for a monk. In Theravada Buddhism, it is said you have atta parikkara, 8 requisites. 8 requisites are like you have the bowl, and then that is one, and then you have robe, and one single layer robe and double layer robe. So single layer robe is important for your like just normal day to day, and sometimes when you feel cold, you can also have the double layer robe. I remember my preceptor. He used to wear 3 robes, like the single layer, double layer, both when he goes out. So it's like it's difficult, but they are used to it. So whenever they go out, they wear those. Um, uh, so it is called 3 robes. And then sometimes if you feel cold, that is your also bed sheet, you know, or the cover that you use. And also if you want to like a pillow, you can make it like a pillow, fold it and use it like a pillow. And it's really simple. And then also you need the needle and some thread. So whenever you need to mend your robe, you use it. And these are part of the 8 requisites. And then also the Buddhist monks have been using the water filter forever. You know, from the very beginning. One of the earliest people who invented the water filter, you know, those monks. So they had a simple white cloth. That's it. A simple white cloth to filter water. When they walk across the jungles and all, they just use that water filter to filter the water. It's easy and simple. And also it out of compassion for the other sentient beings too. Sometimes there are some maybe insects, or you know, it's also good for the health. So water filter is there. So these are the, and also a razor for you to shave yourself. These are the 8 requisites that a monk would have, and that is good enough for him to survive. Not much. And I remember in Dhammapada there is a beautiful saying, Sapatta bharo pakhi sakunu. So the Arahanta person is compared to a bird. You know, the birds they have wings, and that is the only thing they carry when they leave. They build nests, and then they hatch eggs, and then they have small birds, and when they are you know, good enough for them to leave, they just leave. They leave everything behind. They don't take anything. They take so much pain and effort to build the snake, that small nest. Right? You know how hard it is for a bird to bring all those materials, right, from what do you call, Home Depot. So they go to the jungle, you know, bring those small things, and they build a beautiful nest, and then that is their comfortable home for those little birds, and they feel comfortable when they are grown enough. The mother just leave them. They don't take anything, even though they have done so much. They don't even sell it, you know. they can anyone else can replace that. That is fine, and they leave everything behind. That is exactly how the Arahanta monks work. When they leave, they just like the burden of the wings. That is the only thing they have. So it is also said, when you travel, travel light, right? So a monk, he would travel only with these 8 requisites, atta parikara, and that should be enough for him to survive anywhere. If you feel hungry, take your bowl, go for alms round. People might give you some food. That's how they survive. So simplicity is a very, very important practice, and in order to practice simplicity even more in a more powerful way, you practice noble silence. So you are very simple, avoiding all these unnecessary things, and not so much possessions with you, and so it's easier for you to focus on your practice. And then also keep the noble silence. When you keep the noble silence, you always have the opportunity to talk to yourself. And it is the lack of this monologue, lack of this internal dialogue, that we actually become restless, we become anxious, and we become depressed, because we don't have that self-care, that space for ourselves. We always talk with other people, we always look at the outside the world, and don't have time to look into yourself, don't have time to talk to yourself. And this noble silence gives us exactly that that space for ourselves. So sometimes when you are angry, you don't like to talk to others, right? You just want to cut off from the rest of the world, lock down inside your room or whatever, and then you want to talk to yourself. And that way you can actually kind of find peace. And what we do as practitioners, you actually recognize the thoughts. And every time you, if you are a good practitioner, let's say you're good in anapanasati, I think it's a really, really good technique. You recognize everything, whatever happens in your body, and whenever there is a change in your breathing pattern, you will recognize right away, I'm angry now. Okay, my breathing is becoming very faster and longer, and you recognize that right away. And also you will recognize your ears becoming warmer and your head is becoming warmer, your heart is beating faster, and your nervous system, and you see that, you recognize that. And your breathing pattern is one thing that you find gives the first sign of the change. So if you're good in this anapanasati, it's a beautiful way to recognize that. So just close your eyes, take a good long deep breath, and recognize what's going on there. That will really, really help you to calm yourself down. So this noble silence, this practice is a very, very powerful way to uh, come down to come closer to our practice. And then we know we have 3 ways to take care of our activities. 3 sense doors. Okay, one is the body. Through the body we do 3 kinds of activities. That is panatipata, killing living beings, and then adinnadana, stealing, and then kamesu michachara, engaging in sexual misconduct. So we have to be very careful about this bodily activity. And then the verbal activities, we do 4 kinds of verbal activities that we have to be careful about that. What are those 4? Musavada, telling lies, and Pisuna Vacha, slandering, trying to break up between some good friends, and then Parusa Vacha, using harsh words to hurt other people, and then Sampapalapa, gossip or unwanted speech. I think most of the words that we speak, maybe the bulk of the words that we maybe use can be categorized into that fourth one. So these are the four verbal speeches that we have to be careful when we practice. And then the other thing is the mind. And through mind, it is said, like, we have abhijja, miccha ditti, and the other one, abhijja, vyapada, and miccha ditti. So abhijja is the intense what do you call, greed, and vyapada is the ill will, and miccha ditti is the wrong view. So these are called unwholesome, 10 unwholesome actions that we do through these sense doors. So if we take care of these doors, our house will be safe. So 3 doors we have to be careful, and then we make sure that our house will be safe. And yeah, so this again is important, and I just want to go back to the a very important sutta, although you are very familiar with that too. That is called Karaniya Metta Sutta. Karaniya Metta Sutta, I think we practice all the time, and it is the Buddha's words on loving kindness. One time, a group of monks, they went to the Buddha asking for kammatthana, meditation object. So they asked the Buddha, we are going to spend the vasas, rains retreat. The monks spend 3 months period. When it rains, they don't go out, and they just practice on their own. And they took a meditation object. It is said Panchasata Mattani Bhikkhu Satani, Panchamattani Bhikkhu Satani. So 500 monks. They left for a remote area, and then they found a village close by, and they all settled in that place. They found it's a good place for, they do have water. They also have a village close by for them to go for alms round, and then they settle in the jungle. And when they settle in the jungles, there are tree guards, because these monks were very, very good and also powerful. Because of their sila, the devas cannot stay in the trees on top, so they had to come down. And then they came down out of respect for these monks. And then the monks were practicing, and they were not showing any sign of leaving because they came here to settle for 3 months, and the devas were little worried. Slowly these little signs of anxiety became like anger, and then when you are angry, you become also kind of frustrated, right? So when you are frustrated, it becomes aggression. So frustration leads to aggression, and then the devas decided, we have to do something, otherwise these monks will not leave. So what they did, like they created ferocious forms of demons, like standing right in front of the monks when they meditate. So they were like very shocked and very upset too, and they also heard some very fearful terrifying noises all the time when they were meditating, so they could not focus. And then they also felt like very strong smells, so they could not practice, and some monks could not sleep properly, and they were very upset. And at the beginning, the monks were their face and everything was very good. And later on, when they met their teacher, he found these monks have become like very very upset with their outward looking. They become like dubbana. Like dubbana means not very good looking faces. And then the monks asked what happened, and then they said the story: we could not meditate, we had this and this problems. And then the whole group decided to go back to the Buddha. No, this is not the right time for meditation. This is not the right place for meditation. We had to go back and ask the Buddha. And then the Buddha was waiting. He was waiting. How come you are like so early? You were supposed to stay there for 3 months. You are back early, you said. The Buddha said. And then they explained the situation. Then the Buddha said, when you have a problem, don't run away from the problem. You face the problem, encounter that, and find a solution. Go back to the very same jungle, very same forest, and you have to practice there only. You have to become arahanta there only. So that was the Buddha's message. And how do we meditate? We cannot meditate. And then the Buddha gave this powerful mantra called Karaniya Metta Sutta. Use this as your kammatthana, your meditation object. And also, when you enter the jungle, recite this one. And also be kind to those devas. Take their permission. Just don't invade their premises. Take their permission. That will also be helpful and kind. And then discuss good things, and the Dhamma, the loving kindness, the metta. Spread the metta to all sentient beings, and you will be fine. So they did accordingly, and the devas were very happy too, and they were taking care of the monks. It is said by the end of the 3 months, all the 500 monks became arahants. So it is the story of this Karaniya Metta Sutta, and it's really again a very powerful practice for all of us, because in Karaniya Metta Sutta we talk about there are requirements for a loving kindness meditation practitioner. First thing is sakko. You have to be skillful. You have to be strong. And uju, you have to be straight. And suju also becomes more straight. And suvacho means suvacho chassa mudu anatimani. So suvacho means you have to be good with good words. And then and humble. Mudu means good, gentle in speech, gentle. And then humble. And anatimani means what do you call humble, right? Humble and not conceited. So these are very important qualifications for you to practice loving kindness meditation. So this is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace. Santang padang means path of peace, that is the Nibbana. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited. And then santussako means you also have to be contented with whatever you have. So most of the time, what we do is we worry about what we don't have. We are not happy with what we have. I think this contented means you have to be happy with whatever you have. Very simple things, that's enough. And then subhara is a very important word for the practitioner, especially the metta practitioner. Easily satisfied. Subhara. You should be able to, feed. Someone should be able to feed you very easily. Otherwise, it's very difficult. And then santustakocha, subharocha, appakichocha. Appakicha means not so busy. With so many activities, you are very simple with simple duties and frugal in their ways. Appakichocha sallahukavutti. Again, sallahukavutti is the word I wanted to say. Simple lifestyle, very simple, not too many things, and that way you become easier for you to find peace. And peaceful and calm, wise and skillful, not proud or demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove. Very important again. So every time we have to think, when I do this thing, will those wise people blame me? So you have to have that shame and fear, what we call hiri and ottappa. I think there is a beautiful saying in Pali called anumattesu vajjesu bhayadasavi sikkhata sikkhapadesu. That means you have to fear, you have to be afraid of doing even very slight wrong things. Anumattesu vajjesu bhayadasavi sikkhata sikkhapadesu. That is how you should take care of your vinaya. Even not to worry about too many big things, but really very small things, very simple things, you have to be careful about. Those things are really very important for us to be a good practitioner. So let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove, wishing in gladness and in safety. Now, these are the qualities, these are the qualifications, requirements for one to be a practitioner of metta meditation. And once you are in that stage, then you can go ahead and practice. May all beings be at ease. Sabbe satta bhavantu sukhitatta, right? Sukhino va khemino hontu sabbe satta bhavantu sukhitatta. And then ye kechi phana bhutatti tasava thavarava anavasesa dighava ye mahantava majjhima rasa kanukatula. This sutta gives us the practice of loving kindness. How do we do that? Whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, and we don't omit anyone, and great or the mighty, medium, short or small, and dittava yeva additta means seen and unseen, all those ones. And also dure va santike va avidure, that means near and far. All those born and born to be, I think to be born, that is called sambhavesi, is another word, I think kind of controversial. What is sambhavesi? Is it possible in Theravada? This is like, again, they are maybe like in the mother's womb, that can be a sambhavesi, right? Already inside. So to be born. And may all beings be at ease. And I like this one particularly. Let no one deceive another. Let no one deceive another. And despise any being in any state. So we have to be very respectful also to everyone. Let none through anger or ill will wish harm upon another. Such beautiful thoughts. I think these all these words are very important for us to become a good practitioner of metta meditation. And then Mata yatha niyang puttang ayusa eka putta manuratte, just as a mother who has got only one child, she would do everything in her capacity to protect her child. Just as you are so having so much loving kindness to that one and only child, do that to everyone else, you know, just as that mother does. We have to radiate loving kindness to everyone, so that way we become a good practitioner too. So with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upwards to the skies and downwards to the depths, outwards and outbound, freed from hatred and ill will, whether standing or walking, seated or lying down, freed from drowsiness. One should sustain their recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding. This is called Brahmacharya. By not holding to fixed views, the pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being freed from all sense desires, is not born again into this world. It is said at the end of the sutta, dittincha anupubbiṁ silava dasanena sampanno kamesu vinaya gedhang nahi jatu gabbhaseyang punaretiti. Nahi jatu gabbhaseyang punaretiti means you will not go to another gabbha, means the womb again. No more born, that means you will not be born again. You will be born in the Brahma realm, and then and there you will attain the arahanthood. That is the story about the Karaniya Metta Sutta. So there is also another sutta called Metta Anisansa Sutta, whereby you can also practice metta, and there are 11 benefits of practicing metta. I think I will maybe discuss about that later when we come to the discussion. Okay, with that we conclude the Dhamma talk today, and it is open to discussion now.
Namayang Dhamma Kataya Sadhukarang Dadamase Sadhu 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 Anumodami. Thank you, Bhante. And at this time, if anybody has questions or comments, please feel free to type them in, and I'll read them out for Bhante Sumitta. Also, the monastery residents, as usual, are welcome to ask questions. So far, we have a lot of appreciation, so a lot of people typing in how much they appreciate the Dhamma teachings. Gita asks, Bhante, Karaniya Metta Sutta sounds like a sutta we can recite every day, especially living at home.
Yes, I think I remember Bhante Kovilo was talking about that sutta. What is that sutta?
I'm not sure which one.
The one you were discussing last time.
Oh, the Anguttara 219.
Yeah. Do you? Oh, there is no
Kusalang
name for that,
Bhaveta.
right?
Kusalang Bhaveta.
Kusalang Bhaveta.
Okay. Yeah. So just like that, Karaniya Metta Sutta would also be included into your manual of chanting. So it's a very, very important sutta, and I think also it's important that you. I like Empty Cloud Monastery. Whenever they recite in Pali, they also read it in English. So you actually get to know what you are talking about. And if you only chant in Pali, if you don't know it, maybe it will not resonate in you. But if you also read the meaning, that will give so much sense. So whichever comfortable language you feel, I think you also read the meaning. That way it will be very good. But I also recommend you read in Pali too, because Pali is that beautiful musical, rhythmic and healing chanting that will also give you so much blessing. Plus, if you also read the meaning, that will give you a lot of good energy. Yeah, it's good to read that, recite that sutta too.
I am curious if you think that sampapalapa, or like idle chatter, can you judge from hearing two people have a conversation?
Yeah.
Can you judge if person A or person B is speaking idle chatter, or is it totally pachatam, to be known individually? So it might look like, person A or B are speaking sampapalapa, but really they have got like a pure heart, and they're just, talking about cars or kings or robbers or states, or that whole list of
32
26 or
stories.
32
Yeah.
objects of
Rajakatha, Chorakatha.
exactly, all these things. But I mean, the Buddha, would give metaphors about kings and cars and vehicles and cities and heroes and whatever. So do you think it's just up to the individual person's intention, or can you tell if someone else is speaking sampapalapa?
I think, yeah, that's a pretty good question, because Buddha has he was from the royal family, and he was such a good teacher too. And the Buddha has used so many similes, metaphors every time in the sutta. So if you use it for that intention to teach, I think there is nothing wrong. But if you talk about, okay, this political leader is blah blah blah, or something like that, your intention is all that matters. So I don't like this guy, he is doing something very wrong, or it's not what you are supposed to talk. But you can use those things to teach the Dhamma. That should be okay. That is, of course, that won't harm you from using. That doesn't become a part of the sampapalapa. But if you, yes, directly criticize a political leader or anything like that, that becomes a rajakatha. And if you talk about something, it becomes a chorakatha, like about the robbing or something. And there are 32 stories actually that you have to be careful of not using, and especially in the temples. And especially when you practice, you also have to be careful about these things. But because I think the idea is this will give you some unwholesome feelings when you get angry. When you talk about some, I don't want to say, like, let's say, like that political leader A is a very bad guy, something like that. If you say, maybe your political view is different, so you judge or you talk about that, what will happen when you talk about that? They will not change anyway. But what happens, the change that's happening inside you, burning, right? That fire in you is all what matters. So you get the lobha, you get the dosa, and you get the moha. That's not good for you. Right? That person doesn't even know, but you are the one burning here inside. So this is why it's not good to discuss. And also you give fire to the others too. You also fuel the others fire. So you are burning others too. That way, I think, it's important to practice the noble silence. Buddha said, if you don't have anything to talk about the Dhamma, just keep quiet. Yeah, keep quiet will be very...
Actually, Bhante Sumitta had given a talk a while back on the difference between papancha and patibana that I found really helpful. So mental proliferation and creativity, I guess you can translate patibana with. And so actually related to Ajahn Kavila's question, I was thinking that how the Buddha turns papancha into patibbana. And I was wondering, so like this was kind of an example of using things that normally as unenlightened beings, we always get into a lot of mental proliferation. And so skillfully then a Buddha or an enlightened being will take elements of our day-to-day discourse and turn them into Dhamma, so skillfully, so something that is relevant. But I was wondering if you could perhaps speak a little bit about that, or if you have any thoughts on it.
Like when we, so like let's say like we are in the monastery, so if you are into admin, you also have to speak certain things, right? Maybe in that case, yes. But when you are into, let's say like in the schedule, we have this time, okay, this is our silent time, this is our practice time or something, then we can actually keep that time for that. That will be very helpful. So whenever you see, whenever you use those words, when you speak, if you notice that your aggression or your anger or your hatred or your ill will or your greed is increasing, then you have to be careful. You have to be, you have to recognize them, you have to be mindful about that, then you have to avoid such things, right? Bhante yesterday was talking about the Sabbasava Sutta. So Vinodana Pahatabba, Sangvara Pahatabba, Dasana Pahatabba, they are also very important. We have to be mindful about that. If it's harmful, then we have to avoid such situations. We have several questions online. You want to follow up with that?
Yeah, just a question. Like sometimes it seems that noble silence can actually lead to greed, anger, and delusion. Like if yeah, have you seen that?
That's a good question too. Sometimes it can happen, but that is why we need to have the teacher to talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
So if whenever you have some situation, don't open up with the others. It might be even more dangerous because of course the Mara will be there, as I mentioned yesterday. Mara will not like you meditate or keep silent, maybe. So you have some issues, so it's good to talk to your teacher, a person who is more knowledgeable, more wiser, that who can give you good answer rather than sharing those thoughts with the others. But things like that can happen once in a while to you.
And if I can follow up on that, I have another question. What about if it's other people that take your practice of noble silence or encouragement on keeping noble silence as an act of hostility or as an act of trying to shut them down rather than opening up? So normally in worldly life, outside of monasteries, people tend to socialize a lot, and also they related actually to what Bhante was saying earlier about taking the time to speak to ourselves, or so when we are suffering, normally people do the opposite. They try to talk a lot. At least I used to do that, I remember, quite a lot before Buddhist practice, until I started seeing the value of staying with the suffering. So sometimes I guess it's easy if like everybody's on board and understands the power of noble silence, but if someone is new to practice, they might take it as an act of hostility. I don't know if this makes sense.
That is because of their ignorance, actually, and also out of compassion for them, you have to be you have to be more compassionate to them. Because of their ignorance they do it, and also they do a bad karma when they do that, but you also do a bad karma when you react to that. So you have to also be very careful. Right? So let's say like somebody was not happy with that noble silence, and that somebody is saying something negative about that, and then what happens, you overhear that and you react to that. What will happen? That will become your karma. Right? So we have to also be very careful. Even though they say that you know what you do, you follow in the Dhamma, as long as you practice the Dhamma will protect you. And so be more confident in the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. And even if you feel sad or angry or anxious, think of the Buddha. You will become happy, smile. Yeah, that will, I think, save you. Yeah, don't fall into that trap. These are like Mara traps. Yes.
And we have some questions online. So first, Pete asks, the Buddha suggested not to run away from problems, but is there a point at which not running away hinders our practice because facing it is too overwhelming for our current abilities?
Yes, you have to actually, in order to face the problem, you also need to have some techniques. Like those monks didn't know how to cope up with that situation there, so they went to the Buddha. Remember, if you have any difficulty, go back to the teacher. The teacher will have more tools, more techniques for you to learn. That's also why we need to have Kalyana Mitta in our life. Good spiritually rich friends are always there to help us to get rid of these difficult situations. And also teaching, listening to the Dhamma talks will be very helpful along with our own practice. These should all go hand in hand, I think. One, practicing ourselves, and two, listening to the Dhamma, and three, having spiritually rich Kalyana Mitta friends. They are all very, very important. Sometimes you are not able to face the situation alone. Then talk to that wonderful Kalyana Mitta friends. Don't do it alone, maybe. Talk to them. They will help you. Sometimes if you don't have anyone, just talk to a tree. You go to a tree and talk to that. You just imagine like, this is my Kalyana Mitta friend, and I'm just talking it out. And that way you will also feel the pressure going out. Sometimes it helps. Maybe even to the Buddha you can talk. You think of the Buddha and talk to the Buddha. That will also be very helpful. Some of the things that we need to follow if you don't really have someone. If you have someone, maybe over the phone or email, or nowadays it's still possible. And if you have someone close by, you can even talk to them. The Kalyana Mittas are really very important in our life. The Buddha said, once Venerable Ananda said, the 50% of this sasana depends on the Kalyana Mittas. The Buddha said, don't say Ananda, don't say like that. It is not the 50%, but 100% of the sasana depend on the Kalyana Mittas. So they are very, very important in our life. Yeah.
And next question, Nancy asks, when I practice listening compassionately, I notice I want to connect with the person to help ease their suffering. Do you have a practice to help me inhibit this impulse?
You mean you want to help someone and she wants to help someone, right?
Yeah.
And then she's asking how to help?
No, she says, so I think what she means is that when she's listening to somebody talk about their difficulties, she wants to do something to help the person, but she's saying she wants to stop the impulse to help this person.
So in order to help someone, you also have to be careful. I noticed this. Like in the West, I think those psychological counselors and all, they have to first be stronger within. You have to be trained to do that. Without proper training, you will be in trouble listening to others' troubles. Yeah, you will get more headache because you don't know how to cope up with that. You will be overwhelmed with others' problems and you don't know how to cope up with that. You will be so stressed. So in order to help others, first you have to actually train yourself. I think it's important. First, of course, you have to be kind and compassionate to others. But if you don't know how to help, maybe talk to someone else will be helpful, or lead that person to a better person, that of a good Kalyana Mitra friend or a good teacher, Dhamma teacher, that can be, of more help.
Okay. And a question from Luciana. Luciana asks, if we are venting and talk about the other person bad habits or criticizing about the other person, is that sampapalapa? What if someone is venting to us? Can we respond?
Again, like if you are hurting someone, that becomes not sampapalapa, right? That is pisuna vacha. Parusa vacha. If you hurt others, that will the other person feel hurt, then it will become parusa vacha. And again, when the other persons blame you, that will become their parusa vacha. But if you reply, it will become your parusa vacha. So you are not supposed to actually use the defend or something like that. That is why you have to be trained to learn these things. Once a Brahmin came to the Buddha and he was scolding him so much, and then the Buddha was laughing and he was like smiling. He was like keeping his serenity, peace and calmness. And then the Brahmin was more upset. He was more, because the Buddha was not responding. And then the Buddha was asking, Brahmin, what do you do if you invite someone to a party or something? You cook some good delicious food, and then you invite that person, a friend or someone, to the party. But when the friends come to you and they don't eat your food, then what will you do? Then the Brahmin said, I will eat the food myself. Then you have to eat your own words, because I don't eat that. So even if the other people say something bad to you, do not react to those things, because you will, this is exactly what the other person wants you to do. That person wants you to react negatively, and that is what he or she is aiming for. And if you become prey to that, you become a victim to that, then it's not you again. So you will become more victorious if you know how to still maintain your inner peace and calmness and peace. And that, I think, it's very important. So train yourself not to react to harsh speeches, and also learn how to use the loving kindness instead of that, thinking of other people's ignorance because of that they do that. But if you use harsh words, your anxiousness, your depression, everything will improve. You can't sleep when you are angry, right? You cannot eat, you can't do anything, you cannot concentrate, you cannot meditate, nothing. So you are in trouble. But if you know how to not to react to those situations negatively, then you will be fine. Okay, I did the right thing. In meditation, that also is a good thing that you learn. You take the right decision. So I don't use harsh words. Even though that person was blaming me, I was not using that. I was not reacting to that. So I'm happy about that, my practice, That way you feel so good about yourself. It's really important not to react negatively.
Okay, and that's the final question. So if there's nothing else, maybe we'll end there for the morning. So thank you very much, Bhante Sumitta. And if you'd like to go ahead and close the session.
Thank you again, everyone, for joining us today's Dhamma talk. And I hope we learned something today as well. And so, Sunata Dhareta Charata Dhamme, it is said, you listen to the Dhamma and you learn the Dhamma, and the most important thing is you practice the Dhamma. So even if you learn a little bit here, that will be good enough if you actually use that into real life practice. So you learn this theory and practice, apply that in your day-to-day practice. That will be so much beneficial to you and to everyone around. By the power of this Dhamma Desana, and also by listening to this Dhamma talk, may you all be well, happy, healthy and safe, and may you be blessed by the Noble Triple Gem. May all Devas and all Brahmas and all the Kalyana Mitra friends bless you, help you, protect you and guide you towards the right path. May you and your near and dear ones be blessed and be healthy and be safe wherever you are. And may all your departed ones be able to share this merit and be well, happy, healthy, safe. And may they all attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Thinking thus, please be kind and compassionate towards all sentient beings who have passed away. Let us share this merit with sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Let us also share this merit with all the celestial beings, all devas, brahmas, and all the other sentient beings. May they all receive this merit, share this merit, and be well, happy, healthy, safe wherever they are. May they all attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. May you and all your near and dear ones, your family, and also your monastic community and your practitioners, fellow co-workers and everyone in your community, your elders, teachers and everyone in your country, everyone in the world, all sentient beings be well, happy, healthy, safe. May we all be able to achieve the supreme bliss of Nibbana, the absolute peace and happiness at the end of our samsara. Thinking thus, please keep your palms together close to your heart and say 3 times, Sadhu, Sadhu, Sadhu. Let us transfer merit to all devas and other sentient beings. Ettavata cha amhehi sambhatang punya sampadang sabbe deva anumodanto sabba sampatti siddhya. Ettavata cha amhehi sambhatang punya sampadang sabbe bhutta anumodanto sabba sampatti siddhya. එතාවතා ච අම්හෙහි සම්භතං පුඤ්ඤ සම්පදං සබ්බේ සත්තානුමෝදන්තු සබ්බ සංපත්ති සිද්ධියා. Let us also share this merit with all the departed ones. Idang me ñātinang hotu sukhita hontu ñātayo. Idang me ñātinang hotu sukhita hontu ñātayo. Idang me ñātinang hotu sukhita hontu ñātayo. By the power of this merit, may we all be associated with wonderful Kalyana Mitta friends all throughout our samsara until we attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Imina punya kangmena mame bala samagamo satang samagamo hotu Yava Nibbana Patiya. May we all be able to achieve the supreme bliss of Nibbana by the power of the merits that we have accrued during our lifetime by Dana Sila Bhavana throughout our life and throughout our samsara. Idang me punyang ආසවක්ඛයා වහං හෝතු සබ්බ දුක්ඛා පමුංචතු සබ්බ භයා පමුංචතු සබ්බ රෝගා පමුංචතු. sadhu sadhu